to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody. It's so great to see all these little smiling faces and as well as big smiling faces in the room. We're happy that you're all here and looking forward to a great meeting. Hopefully everyone's school year is going great. And at this time, I'm going to pass it over to the superintendent of schools.
Thank you, Mr. Pinto, and I am super excited tonight. Thank you are all here to talk about one of my very favorite subjects, math, right? And I love to hear people excited about math. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Martin at that restaurant. Take it away.
Thank you. So you actually just took away what I was going to say, which was welcome everybody here, and we're going to talk about my favorite subject also, which is math. So whenever anyone asks me, what do you do for a living? I say, I am the math director of this wonderful place called Long Beach. And most of the time people will say, oh, math, you teach math? Why would you want to do such a thing? I hated math when I was in school, and that's a terrible thing. Well, back when they took math was about memorizing facts, it was about drills and skills, and math has evolved since then. Now it's about concepts, it's about projects, and it's about discourse. So we're going to talk about that tonight. As you know, we use next generation math standards. But what you might not know is that we also use the math student mathematical practices. These mathematical practices have a perseverance lens that our students use in their classrooms every single day. This lens that the students use is with a critical thinking lens. And what it does for our students is has them go every single day, and from K through 12, allows them to never give up. It allows them to think every single day, making sure that they use a structure, they model, and they work through many problems every single day in their classroom with their classmates and with their teachers. So I hope you're ready to sit back, relax, and be razzle-dazzled by our elementary school students. First up, we have kindergarten, Ellie and Ellis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mrs. Graham, and I am Ellie and Ellis' kindergarten teacher. And every day we set out to discover new ways to learn math. Now, girls, do you want to demonstrate when we practice math? Let's take a look at our picture that we talk about. All right. The first thing that we always want to do when we talk about our math problems is we want to do what?
Notice and wonder.
Notice and wonder. And so we want to talk about different positions that we notice in our picture, right? So, Ellie, do you want to tell me a little bit about the picture?
I noticed that besides the box, we always had
Tell me a little bit about the items that you see in the picture.
I see some exam careful up to the girl. I noticed that the mom is on a purple beach towel.
Very good. And sometimes we wonder about things that we're unsure about. You girls have any wondering?
I wonder if that girl was making that sandcastle.
That's okay. So many times we have the children just take a look at an example and just try to figure out or think about critically what they see, what sometimes they may be, and I don't notice some of the things that they notice. And so we have an opportunity to talk about the things that we notice. we try to figure out the things that we're wondering about, and we come across a lot of new learning each day in our class. And with this particular picture, we were talking about position words.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now in first grade, we had Addison and Zari.
Hi, good evening. I'm Dennis. I'm Addison and Zaria's teacher. So in first grade right now, we are working on partners of 10. So that's combinations of 10 one-digit numbers that equal up to 10. And what the girls and the rest of our class have been working on is different strategies to make partners of 10. So they've been using 10 frames, number bonds, pictures, counters. So they're just going to show off some of their skills for you. If that's okay. I have a loud voice, so it's fine. And what would my number say?
9 plus 1 equals 10.
Hey, ladies. What are my numbers of 10?
5 plus 5.
Right, 5 to 5. And then what's the number again? Say one more time.
5 times 5 equals 10.
I have to say how many more rounds to make 10.
4.
What would my number say?
6 plus 4 equals 10.
Sorry. I have 8. How many more rounds to make 10?
2. 8 plus 2 equals 10.
I have 0. How many more rounds to make 10?
10.
What would my number say?
10 equals 10.
All right. Now, sorry, what is your favorite strategy to use? Yourself,
I get that.
use number bonds. Can you say why?
Because it helps us count off.
It helps you count time. Because what number always shows you?
The biggest number. Count off.
Good. What kind of strategies do you use?
Number one. Okay. When I'm doing math, I always know that the bigger number that we're going up to is always the bigger after the 2. Otherwise, I make it have to go to a little box. Thank you. Thank you.
And now we have second grade wings. We're going to call up Charlotte, Elwin, Don, and Violet. And I believe we agreed earlier today that John was going to start, right? Okay.
Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm John. So my favorite thing is about to do is wings. Wings make me study a lot. I love studying math class. How does wings help me? Wings help me to be respectful and to be kind to others. When my partners are speaking, I do not speak over them. It also helps me with my math class. We watch videos and help us last year. We watch number blocks and we make things easier. I like being in wings with Mr. Mac and I like working with Mr. Math because he shows us equation how to solve them. And I also like that he shows us how to be respectful. Hello everybody, my name is Lila and I just want to teach everyone about wings. I was down in second grade but I'm already learning multiplication. We played the headphone prior to Mr. Matt likes to try multiplication. Not to brag, but I'm really good at it. If I have trouble on my math work, I can go to Mr. Matt and he can teach me one way to do it. I really like math, and so does Mr. Matt. It's our favorite. Hello everybody, my name is Ellen, and what I like about rings is I like using subtracting because it's a little tricky for me. And rings help me learn to subtract by circling a little number and counting on to find my answer. I like being in Mr. Math Wings class because we play a lot of fun games.
Now we're gonna have Murphy come and discuss iReady technology apps and this experience for K through 5.
Hello, my name is Murphy, and I already diagnosed assigns me good problems whenever I do it. I love iReady because it's a good way to challenge my brain and do all sorts of math problems. I am pretty good at math, and I get high scores. I usually am doing good. I do good on my test, and for some things called Fluency Play, it's a bunch of math games that help you on your problems, and like times, division, addition, and subtraction. I like learning games because it's why wouldn't I? And they also help you in math. And some games you can do subtraction and addition, and some it's division and multiplication. Thank you.
Next is 3rd grade and Viviana. And they will be discussing one of the key components, try, discuss, and connect.
This is the problem that we did together. Greg and Laura take photos at a gotcha festival. Greg takes 130 photos, Laura takes 280 photos. How many photos do they take in all? After making sense of the problem and knowing what it's asking me, I decided on what strategy to use. I chose to figure the problem out by using expanded form to add. First, I did expanded form for 280 as 200 plus 80 plus 0, and for 130 as 100 plus 30 plus 0. Second, I added the hundreds, 200 plus 100 equals 300. Third, I added the 10, 80 plus 30 equals 110. Since there are no ones to add, I then added the hundreds and tens. 300 plus 110 equals 410. I made sure to answer the question. After making sense of the problem and knowing what it's asking me, I decided on what strategy to use. I chose to figure the problem out by using please salad and major algorithm to add. Please I wrote down. First I wrote the number vertically to suppose that was table, so I was sure the 1, 10, and 100. Then I started by adding the digits in the 1 place. 0 plus 0 equals 0. Then I added the digits in the 10th place. 8 plus 3 equals 11. So I pushed down the 1 here, and then moved the 1 to the 100th place. Finally, I added the digits in the 100th place. 1 + 2 + 1 = 4. I find the answer was 410, and I labeled it. When we finished figuring out our problem, we then shared our strategies and worked with partners. It's cool to work with another person and see how they did their work. We decided for strategies and thinking as a whole group before going back to working on new problems. By ourselves together, not just fun to learn this way.
Our fourth grade, Elle and Max, will be discussing the 3-read strategy. This is another key strategy for Irish.
So my name is Elle from Mr. Arca, and we always do 3 reads. The first read is to help us understand what is the question about. So, for example, this question would be about Lupe's mom and his tamales, and how many do they make around Christmas, and that's what we do for our first read. And here, so we would read the problem. The problem would be Lupe's mom and dad own a tamale restaurant. Around Christmas, the restaurant sells 5,657 pork tamales and 3,804 beef tamales. How many tamales does the restaurant sell around Christmas? Use any strategy to ask. As Elle said, first we asked ourselves, what is it about? Then we asked the important information. We underline the important information, and in this case, the important information would be 5,657 pork tamales and 3,804 beef tamales. The question is asking us, how many tamales does the restaurant sell around Christmas? Then we use the strategy that we're comfortable using to round the problem and figure it out and solve it. So we use 3-read strategy, and then we add the 2 numbers together. We regroup if we have to, and then we found out that the answer was 9,461. After we find the answer, we turn to talk to a partner and explain what we did and why, because that helps us both understand the problem better.
And our final group, 5th grade, Aaron, Elizabeth, Rory, and Wyatt.
Hi, I'm Rory from Miss Bowers' class. This is Wild, Aaron, and Elizabeth. We start a math lesson every day with a roll-up slide where we share different ways of thinking about the math problem. Miss Bauer asked us to identify what is the same and what is different. I think shape C is different because it has 2 layers when shape A and B have 1 layer of unit cubes. Shape C is different than shape A and B because it has different volumes. It is 24 cubic units. The volume of shape A and B are the same because A is 4 times 1 times 3 and B is 3 times 4 times 1. So they both have a volume of 12 cubic units, even though they are built differently. After we are all done sharing, Mrs. Bauer will begin to model what we are learning that lesson. This is the problem Miss Bauer models for us. She shows that there are 6 cubes on the top layer of the prism, and there are 3 layers in the prism. 6 plus 6 is 18 cubic units. Then we do a new problem together. When we feel comfortable, we go and practice the skill independently.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, students.
You did an amazing job, and thank you for being so brave today and getting up in front of everyone. So I love your enthusiasm for math, and I appreciate all of you. I've made you guys some goodie bags, I gave you certificates. Dr. Gaza, Dr. Hernandez, have them over there for you. If you wouldn't mind getting together and just taking a big group shot picture for me, they're gonna take it over there before you leave. So,
And then your parents can take you home, because I know it's late and you might have a little bit of homework to finish or whatever. So you don't have to stay for the whole week.
Real quick from the board, I just want to say something. It's really, really enjoyable to sit up here on the board and for one, see the parents smiling. Now, I know it's because of their children learning so much and how happy they are. And it's also probably because I have elementary school children as well. And seeing how well the staff is teaching them, so I don't have to try to teach them back at home, because math is a lot different for us than it is for them, but they're definitely learning it. The parents are smiling, the school staff is smiling. It's really great to see that everyone is enjoying what they're learning. And for the kids, watching them perform up there, showing how much they've really engaged in a love for learning and a love for learning math, as well as supporting their peers, because when one of these kids were up here, every other kid was attentive, watching them and celebrating their successes. And that's something that is more than just teaching math, it's teaching a love for learning, teaching camaraderie, teamwork, and appreciation for the success of others. So this was a well-rounded, enjoyable experience, and I'm so happy everyone was here to enjoy it.
I just want to add to that really quick. Students, you really are the highlight of the night. This is why we sit up here, to make sure that you guys are happy and learning. And wow, you guys did amazing. You're all naturals up there. So thank you, and thank you to the staff for all your hard work. And your parents, thank you so much for taking the time to come out. This is really a highlight. Thank you.
I just want to add one thing. First off, I also enjoy seeing the kids up there, but I have to say, Mom and Dad, your faces when your kids were up there were priceless. So it's just a joy to see all of this taking place here tonight, and we're all glad that you were here to do this. And thank you for coming here and just showing off your kids. We love this.
Go enjoy your goodie bags. I think we're going to congregate the hallway, right guys? The photo's going to go in the hallway. Thank you, everyone. Everyone's sitting in the room. We're going to start with the rest of the presentation, if you don't mind. continuing on the rest of the presentation. Thank you, everyone. Some more exciting achievements. The floor is yours.
Ready?
Good to see you. Good to see you. I know. Okay, I'll like knock something.
You got all new clothes, so you're all.
In 2022, our focus became student-centered instruction using priority resources for math. The unit framework was explore, develop, and refine. For K and 1, undeveloped days, the teachers use centers for the students to work independently. And K has pre-made centers. The K centers, there's 24 pre-made centers the students work independently. And for grade 1, there's 27 pre-made centers, which allow the students to work independently, and the teachers are then able to do rotations and use differentiation to give the students reteaching and enrichment skills. As you heard in the student showcase, the 3G, discourse, and differentiation, and the private steps connect was one of the highlights the students gave in their presentation. The students are making sense of problems, the children are sharing their thinking with their partners, the children are making connections and reflecting on what they're doing. The teachers are also given pre-made discourse cards so they naturally be quiet. Some of the pre-made discourse cards, they have some starters for the students such as, where should I begin? How is my answer different? How is my strategy different from my partner? And how do I know that my answer is correct? The learning games are my path tools, learning games such as Go Fish, the fluency flight, which allows back fluency for the students, and differentiation. These are just some examples of student work. So we have students working collaboratively. This allows for the teachers to be circulating and be more of a facilitator instead of standing up in the front of the room. And we have our mascot Corey over there, who went into the different classrooms throughout the district to get students excited about math. That costume was very hot. It was about 95 degrees today, and I can tell you that I was in the costume. So, sorry. Yeah. And poor Miss Tercy had to be my guide because I couldn't see where I was at. Target advanced support. So target advanced support or WINGS K through 2 is our math. So our foundational math skills. What we are doing for our littlest scholars for math foundational skills such as counting on, we're using our partners of 10, these are certain things that we're doing, turn taking, they're using spinners, they're using dice while they're in the classroom. They're using math games such as bump it games. What we're doing, the students are in rotation. They're using centers. What we can do is use one game for all the students, but they're using them at levels. So one particular example that I can give you is that there's a single digit game, a student is working in different levels. We can use a 2-digit game, or we can have students using subtraction. So the students are getting what they need at a certain level that they need. That's why it's called WINGS. Another thing that they're doing is differentiation through their technology apps. They're using MyCap, they're using iExcel, they're using teacher assigned lessons. So the teacher is giving the particular student exactly what they need. Authentic problem solving. We have math in action. We have STEM stories. So all the different teachers are giving, again, the students what they need. AIS. We have WINGS K and 1 is using the iReady Reteach. So they're using iReady enrichment. Do the math, grades 2 through 5. They're pulling the students out of the class during the WINGS period, or they're doing it during the AIS second block of math, and they're working with small group instruction with a math specialist. They're using the Do the Math curriculum, which is a specific prescribed curriculum with the math specialist, and they're using those students to do specific small group instruction, and we've exited many students every single year, and we've seen much success. This was our diagnostic placement at the end of last school year for the elementary program, and the nationally normed data indicates success. with the information that we received from the iReady data consultants, they showed us that we were double the percentage for mid and above grade level for national and state in our scores for mid and above grade level. And as you can see here, just to reference Dr. Oshkosh from last time, we are still at or above county average for grades 3, 4, and 5 for New York State exams, which is still embargoed information, but just to reference. Here's a certificate of achievement for our stretch growth from iReady. Now, stretch growth is we've hit our targeted growth, but we are above 100%. So we have hit now the stretch growth for 2 years in a row. The typical average stretch growth for iReady seen nationally is 25 to 30%. We, for our elementary schools, is 35 to 45%. And again, 55% of the island uses iReady, and we are in the top tier of the schools in Long Island, and this is only our second year of using the program. So this is something to be proud of 2 years in a row. Now, this is our secondary math program. Since we've been here, Dr. Oshkosh and I have made this our mission to look at the layout program. We want to make sure that we are able to identify students that really need particular intervention. This is really important to us to make sure that we are making sure that students get the correct intervention program that they need. So we decoupled the layout program and made sure that students were being identified properly and getting the correct curriculum that they needed. So with that said, we came up with a new criteria, so the lab classes were smaller, and that also gave the students who did not need to be in the lab classes opportunities to take electives that they were interested in, and give them opportunities for those specific classes that they wanted to be in. The teachers have reported that now that model is much better, and the students are being more successful in those classes. We also changed the name of it. Instead of it being lab, now we're calling it mastering classes. There has been also a lot of interest in math counts over the past few years, so we have also changed the criteria for math counts, and we have increased the sections, so there is another additional 6th grade class, an additional 7th grade class for math counts, and there is an additional accelerated class for Algebra 1 in the middle school, because there's more interest in that class. If you look up here, we have our math counts class. There was a gold level club. They received a national honor for honor roll. There was only 3 of them in all of the nation, and they received an honor for that for their coffee collar service award. They did a service project. I don't know if you saw in all the different coffee shops around Long Beach that they made these coffee collars and they put all different equations on them. So you might have seen them last year, and they received a service award for that, which is really cool. For competitions to excite our math students across the middle school and high school, they competed outside of our school in different competitions, plus also inside of our school from the elementary program all the way up through the high school programs. We did Pi Day, we did math, my task, and I Excel different competitions to excite the students. We also started a making group work the norm initiative. So we don't want to see our students sitting in rows anymore. We want to see them sitting in groups. Why are the students in elementary school always sitting in groups? Then they get to middle school, they start sitting in rows. So why is that? We want to make that obsolete. So flexible seating, sit them into groups again. And increase elective opportunities. We started a new elective called Math Data Tech, and we thought that was a really great class that we started. 2 different projects that they did, which were really fun last year. One was called Shark Tank, where the students came up with a business model and they picked a project that they wanted to come up with. They decided on a project or a business model, and then they proposed it to their class as a product, as if they were on Shark Tank. And the students in the class had to either pick it up like they would as a shark, or they had to reject it. Another thing that they did was write a senator a letter, and they actually did write these senators letters where they had a problem that they found or an issue in New York State. They found data on it, then they had to come up with a solution to the problem, and then write the letter as far as how would you fix the problem. And they wrote these letters to senators, which was really interesting. Here's our long-term secondary math information. Again, we're referencing Dr. Oshkosh's data from last week, in the last meeting. We obviously had great region scores in algebra and algebra 2. We are above the county average, but we are still lacking in our geometry. Still room for improvement. We did increase scores from last time, from 2023, by 9%, but there still is room for improvement, which is what we're working on right now. This is where our group, making the group work the norm, is working on in the middle school. So this is 2 middle school classrooms. Again, we want the concept of making group work the norm. We want the students up, we want them discussing, we want the teacher to be a facilitator, we don't want them to be up in the front anymore. We want the students discussing. One of the things with this group work as the norm, the students have to ask each other questions before they go and ask the teacher. If the teacher comes over, they're not gonna ask the student who's raising their hand. They're gonna ask the other student that's in the group. They're gonna say to Dr. Natali, her hand is up, she's gonna ask Dr. Ryan, what is Dr. Natali's question? And if Dr. Ryan can't answer that question, then they're gonna walk away. That means that they did not discuss the question first. So everyone in the group really needs to help each other out. So that gives the teacher the opportunity to help another child who really needs that intervention in the class, not the students who aren't helping each other. They need to use their notes. Also, this gives an opportunity for a teacher to give give worked out problems so that the students can have more of accountability and work on their own self-assessment in the classroom and work at their own pace instead of just waiting for the teacher always to help them. These are 3 high school classrooms. One up here and one down there. Those are actual regular classrooms that we're working on, and an ICT classroom. So again, working on group work is the norm. The one in the upper left-hand corner is our mastering class, AKA our previously called lab classroom. So now it's a smaller class size with a new criteria. So you can see more individualized attention, better structure. Ms. Castano is working on task cards there. The thought process now in this new curriculum is that Ms. Castano working on the task cards in that class, she's working on simplifying expressions. So we wrote over the summer, we changed the order of the curriculum. She's working on simplifying expressions in this class, so then when she goes to work on the multi-step equations in a few weeks, her students now will have the foundation for that information to be successful in the class in a few weeks. So they will not feel behind when they're in the regular classroom anymore, instead of doing it the same day in the regular lab class, which is what used to happen in the lab class. These are the goals for math for this year. Increase real-world problems and applications. Increase use of data for flexible, targeted, small-group instruction. Increase student discourse, use of academic vocabulary, use of math-specific vocabulary, increase student independence, and growth for all. The action plan for K through 5. So first for pre-K, I have to give a shout out for Dr. Hernandez, who was an integral part this summer. She was a great partner to me while we were doing curriculum writing with the pre-K team. We were able to write curriculum, we were able to give alignment for our common math vocabulary and for our pacing, and we're implementing the aligned curriculum for our summer project. We're going to be doing targeted professional development for K through 5, and I want to give a shout out for all the building principals. They've been amazing, and the assistant principals for doing professional development and giving wonderful vision and working with me on that. So data meetings on specific topics that they need, flexible grouping, number talks, and discourse prompts, and that's building specific. Action plan 6 through 12. So we are implementing iReady now for 6th grade. We felt that that is going to be a wonderful alignment. So instead of just being K through 5, we're moving it up to 6th grade. The 6th grade teachers have been saying that it really has been wonderful so far in the past month that they've been seeing, the past month and a half. And that they're seeing a lot of growth with the 6th grade students, that they're already coming in, knowing the routines from 5th grade. Implementation of the revised 7th and 8th grade curriculum. Building thinking classrooms. This is sweeping all of Long Island. A lot of the schools are doing it. It's really, really great. We're piloting it in geometry because we know that is the classroom that we need it the most in.
And one of our teachers is in love with it, so we said, run with it. If you want to be our go-to lady, that's what we're going to do. And engaging interdisciplinary electives, we're discussing this so that we can be on the cutting edge of the Blue Ribbon Commission, because that's where we need to go with any pathways. So building thinking classrooms, randomized grouping, so this is the structure. Randomized groupings, you can do it one of two ways. You either can use a randomized structure that's on the computer, or you can just give out little cards and then walk in. Thinking tasks, that would be your do now or your knowledge check, which could be a prior knowledge question or something that will lead into the class question for the day. Consolidation and notes, that's going to be your class discussion, and then that's going to go into the teacher notes of the day. Your check for understanding, mild, medium, and spicy, that's going to be your tiered instructional practice. So a student can get whatever question they feel is their student choice questions of the day. So if Dr. Natali wants to start with medium, and if she thinks that's a little too difficult, she can go back to the mild. If Ms. Pace is feeling a little spicy today, she can go to spicy and she understands it that day, but tomorrow's lesson's a little too hard, so she wants to go to mild. So it's whatever it is you want to work with. But the teacher's going to give worked out problem answers so you can do your self-assessment always. So you always have those answers readily available, and then you do your reflection piece. So you know you can say, how did you feel about the lesson that day, and where do you go from there? This is an example of what a building thinking classroom looks like. Ms. Petty's are pilot teacher. This is what it looks like. The students are up, they're discussing, they're walking around. They are not sitting in their seats, they're not sitting in rows. They're up and walking around every single day, and they know the structure, and they're loving it. This is where we want to go with our classroom for now. Ms. Petty is doing it, and she's also working with her ICT teacher, Ms. Matt. So thank you very much, all of our stakeholders. There I am again. I hope that someday all of our Long Beach graduates can say, when they're out in the community, that math is their favorite subject, and they don't cringe and say that they hated math. So thank you for coming on this journey with me tonight, and I hope you have all a great night.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Any comments from the board?
Yeah, I have a big comment because unfortunately I come from that group of math. Oh my God. So I am so excited about what you're doing. The whole idea of collaboration, it transforms the whole way that kids learn. I come from 6 rows of 6 with a workbook, 30 pages, 30 problems now, 30 problems at home, and so on and so forth. And I have to say, I love math. I worked hard at it. It was never experiential for me. And so what I see is the transformation now in the way that math is being addressed and being taught is that it is experiential, and so that the kids get to become the source of their knowledge. And that is just so exciting to me. Thank you for all of your hard work. This is wonderful.
Any other board members comment? Dr. Ryan?
Thank you for the presentation. I'm kind of disappointed you didn't wear your outfit tonight. You're probably saving that for board appreciation. I have just a few questions. First, why do you think kids have such difficult geometry?
It's very abstract. I think that a lot of students have trouble with the abstractness of the whole concept. It's a very difficult subject.
So how do you pivot in terms of the primary grades, moving towards a greater comfort with abstract or teaching abstract versus something that can't be taught?
I don't think that I do not think that it can't not be taught. Sense, right? Yeah. I just think that we need to come about it in a different way. And I think that right now, I think that this might be the way to do it. We have to get them more involved. I don't think just sitting there and having them sit in these desks and rows is the way to do it.
How is proficiency defined? I mean, the regional scores are here in terms of the percentage of passing regions. And what is proficient in a regions exam? In terms of the score?
Proficiency?
Yeah.
So according to them, proficiency would be passing, correct?
What's passing?
Passing is 65.
65, okay. And in terms of mastery, do we have any percentages in terms of our kids in high school in terms of mastery?
And mastery is 85.
85, and are we pleased with the numbers of mastery in terms of our middle school, high school kids?
I wouldn't say yes. I would not say that, I wouldn't say that's what it is.
So we have room for improvement there.
Of course. We always look for improvements.
I also wanted to ask in terms of ACT and SAT scores, because oftentimes that's what kids need to get into college. Do you do any follow-up in terms of our kids, in terms of our high school kids? And has high school performance on ACT and SAT improved in the last few years? I do not collect that
I'm not
data.
aware of ACT or SAT, like, look into that, but I don't know.
Yeah. I'd appreciate that information.
Can I just jump in? It's something that we have our eye on, and it's something that we also want to incorporate more into the classroom environment, specifically in our English classes and math classes. One of the reasons we have so many students take geometry here in terms of progression relative to, let's say, Algebra 2, is because there's a geometry component on the PSAT and SAT. And we want to do all the support that we can for our students in that area. So it's something I think we're increasingly looking at, just like we're looking at mastery in an increasing way. And as Ms. Martin said, we're definitely going to be looking at, mastery differently. And it's something, we've been looking at proficiency. It's time that we look at mastery. And so that's something we've been discussing, as well as using PSATs as a benchmark to inform our own practices.
I applaud that, and I hope we do, because in terms of just exiting the students in terms of success, it is a good barometer to measure both the effectiveness of our math program and individual teaching. I also want to ask about special education. I want to ask about kids in 6s and 9s and 12 classes. Does this math curriculum apply to them?
No, it's not.
No. And do we have any alternative for them other than the IEP and whatever the specific goals are? Are there math programs for them that we need to consider or should be considering? Because when I sit through these presentations, and I'm grateful for that, we have a significant number of kids who have significant difficulty in math. And as tedious as it might be for us in 6 rows and 6 columns and all that, it's just probably more so for them. Are we investigating programs for those children?
They do have their own math program
Mhm.
that is cited by the special education department.
Mhm.
It is Math and Focus. And I don't know, Dr. Oshop, do you want to add any more to that?
Sure. So our special education teachers, in coordination with the UPS faculty and the principals, have been evaluating where there are opportunities to integrate the iReady with the Math and Focus. So for example, our special classes, some of the special classes where appropriate are using some of MyPath and some of the fluency work, some of the responsive technology along with the Math and Focus. And so I think that we're continuously looking at the two programs and looking at what's just right for those students and their goals within that class. So that has been a topic of conversation and collaboration between Ms. Martin, myself, Dr. Palara, and Dr. Brancaccio, and Ms. Lombardi as well.
And Dr., I would just add that when we selected Math and Focus, it was specifically through the lens of it being a really great program for our special class students. It's based on Singapore math, which is a very similar kind of developmental way of teaching math to iReady. It has a little bit less of a electronic focus, but our math skills in our special classes has been really high over the past few years. So, sometimes one size doesn't fit all. And I think kind of having Math and Focus with supplements from iReady for students who can benefit from it is a pretty good way to go.
My last question just concerns one of the goals of the many. One of them was to increase student independence. How do we measure that?
The student independence?
Yeah.
I would say probably just that they're able to work on their own more independently.
And in terms of the goal, is data collected on that, or is just a sort of an informal assessment, or it's just kind of a?
I think it's more like formative assessment, just that they're, to see that they're working more in their moving.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the board? Comment?
That's okay. I just want to make some general comments. Thank you very much for your presentation. though I'm listening to the comments and what Dr. Ashraf shared about the SATs, and though I do support that, I also am really happy to see that the goals in 2024 and forward, 25, 26, and hopefully well into the future is more focused on real world math applications. I think, I'm very curious to see how things progress with the use of AI. We need our students to be thinking differently, and I think that's what you've demonstrated tonight, is that maybe it's not the right answer, but we're trying new strategies, and that's what I'd really like to see. So I appreciate you sharing that, and I just think moving forward, things like the SATs though are important to focus on. Having a child that's in college right now, I think the colleges are looking a lot less at some of those metrics and just looking at whole students and what they could offer. So I think there's a nice focus here. I'm really pleased to see these goals, and I appreciate you doing the presentation. And I look forward to seeing you in the future in that costume around town. For sure, especially on a hot summer day.
Thank you, Ms. Page. Ms. Conway?
The costume was definitely a cute idea. I'm sure the little ones really loved it. Yeah, speaking of the little ones, I know that center-based means manipulatives, but what type of manipulatives do the little ones use?
They use about anything and everything. So the iReady provided, or should I say purchased, a bucket. It's a huge, like 30-gallon tub of all these different manipulatives for the students. And each center has specific manipulatives that go with each one. There's little bears, there's counters, there's spinners, there's the Unifix cube, there's probably just, if you can name it, it's in there.
Okay.
So they're using just about anything that can come with pom-poms and, just about anything.
Right, because it looks like a lot of, well, not a lot, but some of the slides are of technology. And when the little ones, you really want them to do hands-on.
Everything is hands-on with the little ones. So K and 1 and 2 have these big buckets of tubs of different manipulatives.
I think that's great. I think they definitely learn more with center-based, and I really like the way that you have working in cooperative groups. But as always, when you're working in cooperative groups, there's always the chance of some child not doing their work and having their friend do it. So what are the ways that you're finding, strategies you're using in the classroom to help combat that?
So I know that they change up the groups a lot. So they're making sure that the teacher is circulating throughout the groups to ensure that's happening, and the rotations. So they're not just sticking with each group at a time. So there's constant rotations of the groups, and the teacher is circulating throughout the period. So they're always constantly on top of each group and making sure they're checking in with whatever's going on.
So what Dr. Ryan had asked about the assessment piece, they have all workbooks and they have exit tickets that go along with all of their work to show their true understanding.
Yep.
And then when you have the children who are low average in that, I know I see some of the work being done like the AIS in the high school, and I appreciate that quite a bit. I know that it was definitely needed. What type of success have you had with that type of program so far, and what do you think you're going to need in the future to help ensure that our kids who are kind of right on the cusp don't fall behind?
So for the high school, you're saying?
You can talk about for all the grades. I know mostly like with the elementary, you have your AIS and you have them in their small groups. But as they get older, middle school to high school, they tend to get lost a little bit more. So how are we looking to prevent that slide?
So in the middle school, we have our lab classes and the strategy classes. So we try to make it a little bit more tight now to make sure that the classes are smaller. So we want to make sure that we're really honing in on the students instead of before it was just, you weren't in accelerated, you were just automatically put into those classes.
Okay.
And the students really didn't need to be in there, and the classes were growing and just being these large classes. And the students who didn't need to be in there were not getting the attention, and then we didn't want the students to be in there that really didn't need to be in there. So they now have the option to have an elective. So those students now have the option to get a technology class or an art class or a music class. And now the students can be really given that individualized attention. that they need, the students who need that intervention. So the teachers are really finding it more successful, and the students are growing and going to the next level, whether in a lab class or a strategies class. And now the students are exiting out because they're actually getting what they need.
Okay. Speaking of the teachers, I noticed you talk a lot about the data. What type of voice do teachers have with what students go to AIS or which students might need intervention in the middle school or high school?
So in the middle school, we've been using the iReady diagnostic. So we've been using that just like in the elementary school, they're using NWEA as one of the markers to see where they're going to be using it as the ISC. In the middle school, we use iReady. And then
The teacher voice, do the teachers have any voice and say, well, the kid had a bad day or the kid had a lucky day, we're taking the test? Are the teachers' observations of the student taken into account?
for the most part, we're using the data from different data points, and then we do talk about the teachers as well. We do look at their grades, so it's different regions. We do use different data points.
Okay. But the teacher, I mean, the teachers are the ones who work with them every day, so their
Yes.
voice is definitely important when it
Yes.
comes to who gets AIS or who gets some extra services.
Yes.
Right?
I have conversations with them, we have different conversations with them. I also have conversations with the guidance counselors, because they also see them as well.
Okay, also, this case mentioned AI, and I was really thinking more, like in today's date, like many of our students, even the young ones know about, bank cards, right? But they really don't know about financial literacy at all. And children as young as 5 know that they can use a bank card or go on the computer and say, oh, just pressing the button and I can buy something. But what type of financial literacy or responsibility are we able to teach our students through math from K all the way up to grade 12?
Well, I can tell you, this is a very funny story, that I was in the store and my son said to me, is your card gonna get declined? And I was like, God forbid, why would you say such a thing? How do you even know what the word decline means?
They know.
Right, Harrison? Yes, so financial literacy. I know that we have a course, it's not a math program, they have the career in financial management. That's a new course in the middle school, correct, Mr. Biesma? I know you can.
Yes.
So that's a course that they're really having.
Do we have anything for the lower grades where kids could also start learning financial literacy?
For elementary school, I'm not sure about that. That we can find out about.
Okay.
We can start doing piggy bank
Start doing
accounts.
something.
So it's actually, you know what?
Right, the money, but the students don't always know that the bank card, this is what a nickel looks like. They think
Yes.
everything is on the card.
It's funny that you talk about that, because in AIS, one of our AIS teachers, they give it as an incentive. So they give them pennies and they give them quarters, and that's what they give them as incentives, instead of like coupons or tokens for if you're being good, like if you're being good. But they give them, yes, so they're giving them as an incentive, they're giving them coins as their incentive of the day, and then they exchange their change. And then they show them this is 5 cents, that they get their pennies, and then they say, are you gonna save your money? And then at the end of the week, they exchange their money. And then at the end of the week, they say, okay, well, now you have 5 cents, let's see how much you have. Okay, now you have a quarter, let's exchange your change. And they do that at the end of the week. And then, they have $1. Now you can go to the prize bin, and they have this whole thing. And now another AIS teacher is saying they wanna try it. So that's something that AIS teachers are doing.
Well, that's great. It's just financial literacy right now is so important.
Yeah.
So when you start them young, when you start teaching them young, they learn the good habits.
Yeah.
The young and it carries up with them. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Just quickly, thanks so much for the great presentation. Some of my questions were asked and answered. You did a great job presenting the information. As I always bring up, I'm really hopeful, and I'm happy to see that our district's moving in a lot of project-based learning environments. We want our education to be practical. We don't want it to be just numbers and charts that kids will be able to utilize in their time. I'm happy to see, I didn't see the word calculator brought up once in the presentation, which I think is for good and for bad, because a lot of times now, I see the problem solving is real focus. And now kids can utilize calculators to do something more complex or maybe abstract formulas. So I'm happy to see that everything's moving in a direction where it's all practical math and the kids are getting out of their seats and they're learning. And one thing I think we can maybe do a presentation on in the future is showing the interdisciplinary connections between how math is making science improve, how we obviously know how reading is gonna focus to help all the other disciplines work, but if we can bring it into shop and technology and maybe some more of the tangible manipulatives and say this is how math applied to this, and we can create a project out of it, I think that'd be a great little thing we can do as a group. So once again, thanks again. Thank you so much. Moving on, student organization announcements.
Mr. Pinto, I don't know if our newly installed student. Okay.
He's ready.
He's getting ready.
He's ready to go. Go right, you're up.
So this year in student organization, as I touched on last time, we plan on focusing on three main things, which are school spirit, student and teacher involvement, and more school-sponsored events. One of these events coming up is homecoming, which will be next Friday, with the accompanied pep rally and carnival fundraisers for all the clubs. Spirit Week is starting this Friday, leading up to homecoming, with student and teacher swap day. This will let teachers and students both be involved in the spirit. And also at pep rally, we have a new fundraiser, which will be for the NICU, or the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, as well as Hurricane Milton relief. And this is the Balloonapalooza, which will be a teacher versus student water balloon fight on the field. Once again, to increase teacher and student involvement. And coming up for student organization, we are going to soon be talking about the trick-or-treating for canned goods food drive, which we do every year, and the first blood drive of the year. And hopefully these all do well, and we're excited to see how they turn out.
Great, thank you so much. That was a great presentation. Questions and comments tonight on tonight's agenda only. We ask that if anyone likes to speak, please maintain it to being within 3 minutes. And if you have any questions or comments about specific staff, please just do not use their name in respect and for appreciation of them. If you have any specific staff members you'd like to have addressed, please just reserve their names for a private conversation with the superintendent. So any questions and comments from the public on tonight's agenda only?
Can I just ask a question about the math?
It's on the agenda, come on.
I thought about it until right now. And then my son is in 9th grade. He gets, I think he's taking algebra, I can't 100% say. He has a different teacher for the lab part of his class. Is there a reason for that, or is it just because like they might learn differently from someone else? Because in the past in middle school, it's the same teacher. Like,
Does
so
he have Miss Johnston?
no, he has Miss Castano for like the lab now, but she's great. And one of my other kids, I'm just wondering if there's any like, it doesn't matter to me either way. I'm just wondering if there's a reason.
If we can actually start to interject a little bit, if we have specific questions for student needs, I think that may be a better conversation.
No, just overall. I'm just saying, do all kids have a different teacher? Let me rephrase it. Do all kids have a different teacher for lab versus their main math class?
Most do, and the rationale was to decouple the classes such that every child could get what they needed. So scheduling wise becomes very difficult if you think of all the kids that need to be in that class, and then the other things that they're teaching.
Right.
So some of it is scheduling. We do try to place the teachers that are all teaching the same thing so they can kind of become more expert in that area. But I don't think that we prioritize keeping the same teacher, knowing that they could benefit from different
Right,
teachers.
that's actually what I
So the
thought
logic
you
would
guys
be,
did.
and it is just, the curriculum is the same, meaning the lab curricula for that child's need wherever they're placed is the same. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, I just, because in middle school, they have the same teacher for lab and, so I just was wondering if like studies show that it's better to have a different teacher teach the reteach of it if the kids learn differently. Just curious.
We're definitely gonna be monitoring data, both qualitative and quantitative, and we'll definitely be looking at that, and we always look, to see, try to help each other, if one teacher's doing one topic better than another, we'll try to get them together to look at that, but.
I wasn't sure if it was like, there was a reason for it.
It was more of I believe, it was more sectioning and scheduling, but also just getting the right people in the right place for it.
Okay, thank you.
I apologize, Ms. Bladefon, if you can, when you come up, just state your name and your street, if you can, thanks. Any other questions or comments from the public on tonight's agenda items? Go ahead.
Danielle Farrell, 460 East Hudson Street. I'm with Ms. Belsey. I was not a math person. I stressed about it my whole life, and I have boys in 2nd and 5th grade, and it has been their favorite subject all throughout school. So it's not for me, so. And then my only other question, when we have blood drives at the high school, is that only for the high school and like staff, or is it community as well?
It's only for high school and staff over 16 years old.
Okay.
Thank you.
Consider.
We can think, yeah, we'll look into it naturally. Thanks so much. Anyone else, questions or comments on tonight's agenda only? Thank you so much for your comments. Moving on, Treasurer's Report of August 2024. Okay, approval of minutes for executive session for September 10th, 2024, and executive session and the regular meeting of September 24th, 2024. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Any discussion? Ms. Belsey?
Yes.
Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Dr. Ryan? Ms. Pace?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Now it's time for the presentation by the superintendent.
And if the board consider item 1, certificate of personnel.
I have a motion and a second. Ms. Belsey?
Yes.
Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Dr. Ryan? Oh, I apologize. Discussion? Thank you, Doc. Ms. Pace?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Item 2, non-certificate of personnel.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second by Ms. Belsey. Any discussion?
I'm sorry to see the letter A. Provides transportation, you did a great job. Very sorry to see that being done.
Any other discussion? So I think we all echo those sentiments. Ms. Belsey?
I vote yes.
Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Dr. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Pace?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
I'd ask the district clerk to read the resolutions item 3, the denial of district superintendent suspension appeal. Determination of superintendent suspension appeal. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Long Beach City School District hereby denies the appeal of the suspension of a student identified in confidential attachment A dated October 2nd, 2024, and authorizes the board president to notify the parent or guardian of its decision in writing. Thank you. I'd ask the board to consider items 4 through 9 together, but I would just point out that for item 6, we're adopting 3 revised policies, waiving the first and second reading. 2 of them rather are minor adjustments, just the name of personnel and the name of the program that we use. The other one is the adoption of a revised AEP policy that puts the AEPs outside of all of our fields. We previously had them in some of our fields, now they're in all of our fields, and they are open to the public. The public can access them. And this is something that we really wanted to do for the benefit of the community, and we thought it was a good idea to do that as soon as possible.
Just to double check, we're looking to do 3 through 9 together?
Yeah.
Can I have a motion for 3 through 9?
Sorry, 4 through 9.
Okay.
So we did on 3.
Oh, sorry. We didn't vote on 3.
We didn't vote on
3
3.
through 9.
3 through 9, please. Is there a motion?
Motion.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Second by Ms. Pace. Any discussion?
I have a quick, first I really want to thank our acceptance of the donation from the Parents for Our Robotics Club. I think that is extremely generous, so I want to give her a big thank you. And also for the regarding of our number 6, the cardiac automated external defibrillators. Are we going to have a list of where they are located on our website?
Yes, it's in the policy.
It's in the policy. Is it on, I haven't had a chance to check.
I think once it's adopted, we put it on the
Then
website.
we'll put it on the website. Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to,
Go ahead.
concerning the policy, I just wanted to thank the superintendent and Mr. DeVito, Mr. Kramer, and Mr. Epstein, along with Mrs. Conway, and certainly Mrs. Nolan, in terms of their work, in terms of keeping that policy in front of us, making us revise it in a timely manner. I thank them for their great efforts in terms of getting that rewritten and put on this resolution. Thanks.
And thank you, Dr. Ryan, and thank you to Mrs. Pinto as well for that, because it really was a collaborative effort. So thank you.
Any other discussion from members of the board? I'm echoing the sentiments of the other board members on these topics. Really happy to see the AD policy going into place. It's something that was very important to me and the rest of the board and the administration. And moving on to vote. Ms. Belsey?
I vote yes.
Ms. Conway?
Yes.
Dr. Ryan?
Yes.
Ms. Pace?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Ready for the Board of Education. Any additional comments, new or old business, if you have any?
I have just a bit, that's
The
okay.
floor is yours, Ms. Conway.
Dr. Gallagher, we've met, well, the New York State just put out some new graduation requirements. And I know that we mentioned it briefly at our last meeting, but has the district decided how they're going to refine and expand any learning experiences according to these new graduation changes? And have our staff been surveyed about what they feel about it?
So the graduation, the changes in graduation requirements are actually just proposed right now, Mrs. Conway. The Board of Regents is due to finalize them, if that's the word, at the first week in November, their monthly meeting. I actually think that once they're finalized, it might be a good idea, if the board is in agreement, to do a presentation on the new graduation requirements, perhaps at the November 12th meeting, if we have room. Because it is really a major shift in education. Some highlights are the decoupling the regions from graduation requirements and potentially opening up more ways for our students to demonstrate mastery, which is right in line with what we saw tonight in our math presentation and in everything that we've been doing here in terms of CTE as a pathway and just making learning more authentic and more real life applicable. They're also changing the diploma to one diploma, no more advanced reasons, no more local diploma. You can get a regular diploma with different seals. And they're widening the buckets for how you can earn a credit. So, it was algebra, geometry, trigonometry, or algebra 2, it's called now, I'm old. Maybe calculus if you really love math or hated it less than other people. But this will probably, students will be able to choose from bigger buckets, like a STEM bucket that might include some technology classes. We'll be able to customize some of our coursework, geometry for construction class might be possible because it won't be so tightly aligned to one exit exam, which, again, for a class that for many kids doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We all did those proofs when we were in high school. I could do those proofs beautifully. Not really sure what use they had in life. Maybe it taught me to think a little logically, but it was an awful lot of time to do that. So I think the changes are fabulous. It's premature to talk about them too much now. Our staff, I can't say we've surveyed them. I'm not sure what we would survey them on, but we've certainly been in conversation with them, especially at the high school level because it affects them most of all. And I think once we have a better roadmap of when this is going to happen, this is going to happen, correct? The question is when. I think it would be helpful to do a board presentation for the community, and I think then we can talk about one of the specifics about how we're rolling it out. They're also developing a New York State high school profile of a graduate, which we did years ago. So we're ahead of the game on a lot of this, and we're excited about the changes. But if you'd like, I can put that on the agenda.
I think that would be wonderful. It would be very interesting for everybody to hear because it is such a major change from what I'm all used to. Thank you, Dr. Geller. And Mr. DeVito, at our last meeting, we discussed the school playground, and we found that there might be some difficulties with preparing a slide. So is there anything that we could add to that playground for our students there?
Yeah, that's correct, Mrs. Conway. We contacted a few playground companies, and they're unwilling to really repair an existing playground. So what I'd like to do is look into what we could add to it. Maybe there's a piece or two that we can add to the existing playground just to enhance the playground. But we're not going to be able to really, they won't sell us replacement parts.
Well, thank you, and you'll let us know maybe some ideas on what we could add to it, Gaga bits or
Sure.
some more.
other toys for the kids to play with. That would be great, thank you.
You're welcome.
No more questions.
Any other questions, comments, new or business for the board? All right, thank you so much. Now we can have questions and comments from the public on any item. We ask you to refrain, utilize your 5 minutes of speaking time. Oh, okay, sorry, 3 have to cut down. 3 minutes of speaking time. And if you do choose to speak about anyone within the staff, as for respect and appreciation for them, please refrain from using names. Floor is open. State, when you come up, just state your name and your street if you don't mind.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kathleen O'Reilly, 25 West Broadway, New York. I'm here with my brother, Lorraine Rollins. She's a student at Warren Middle School, and she would like to address you guys.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lorraine Rollins, and I'm an 8th grader that attends Longridge Middle School. Yesterday after school, I was on the bus on the way to a cross-country meet in Baldwin. At least 5 minutes after, the bus took off and we were on the way to our destination. I smelled something, and at the same time I smelled it, my throat began to itch. I then stood up and noticed that someone was eating, that was posting 2 rows ahead of me, was eating something. I then proceeded to ask the kid what he was eating. He responded with the fact that he was eating peanut butter. I'm definitely allergic to peanuts, and my allergy is airborne. Being the advocate that I am for myself, I am, because I need to, I proceeded to tell the kid that he cannot eat that on the bus. I feel as if this situation was not handled properly. The only thing that could possibly help is if the district becomes peanut-free. Since I've been dealing with peanut-related incidents ever since I've been attending OPMS. If the district becomes peanut-free, I do not have to worry about being singled out or bullied. Yesterday, I had to be rushed to the hospital due to anaphylactic shock, and that bracelet on my wrist proves that. And most days, I'm afraid of going to school, since these students are quite unpredictable when it comes to the newest trends that they find on social media. I am currently being bullied in school due to my allergy. Yesterday was a traumatic event that happens way too often and needs to stop now.
Can I get my 3 minutes now? My daughter, a current 8th grader at the middle school in Long Beach School District, has been living with an airborne peanut allergy, and severe asthma for her entire life. Entering the middle school, she has been a target of bullying due to her allergy, exacerbated by lack of universal rules regarding nut allergies in schools. Unfortunately, she has been administered her EpiPen over 3 different occasions due to incidents of exposure. The cruel jest from her peers about her supposedly faking her allergy has led not only to emotional harm, but also physical danger. Our daughter came also boom fighting as a micro preemie, born as a twin at 25-week gestation. She survived her twin sister and stayed in the NICU 111 days. My cries to the superintendent and the principal has gone on deaf ears. The situation has made it abundantly clear that we need to standardize nut-free environments in all Long Beach School District schools. Approximately 5.6 million children under the age of 18 suffer from food allergies in the United States, with peanuts being one of the most common and dangerous. Moreover, the CDC reports that food allergies in children increased by 50% between 1997 and 2011, reinforcing the pressure need for allergy-safe practices in our education system. The situation my daughter experiences daily reflects an urgent necessity, not just a personal issue. Implementing a district-wide rule would not only protect students with allergies, but it would also contribute to a reduction in bullying incidents derived from these conditions. Making Long Beach School District a peanut-free zone is an essential step towards securing the health and safety of students. My daughter shouldn't have to spend part of her day defending her allergy. Her medical history has been disclosed, which is a violation to her healthcare privacy HIPAA. If we eliminate a variable, we can solve the problem. If your child has a peanut butter sandwich, would they die if they waited until after school to have it? My child was rushed to the hospital yesterday from school due to an anaphylactic reaction. And not one person from LBMS management team called or emailed to find out if she was okay. And these are the people I'm supposed to rely on keeping her safe. I'm asking that the district considers being a peanut-free environment, as well as educating all students in regards to allergies and how severe allergies can be and what can happen if a child has an airborne allergy. And I'm also going to be presenting this at my church. We're doing a forum where we're going to have local and state officials there. We're doing a forum, and I'm also going to present this there as well. Because my daughter stays up nights and nights scared to go to school. She can't concentrate on her work. She can't concentrate on anything because she is afraid that she's going to come home alive the next day.
We appreciate your advocacy and comments on this. Thank you so much. Any other comments from the public?
Hi, I'm Kim Miller, I live at 560 West Hudson Street. I'm not sure where to start, so I'm just gonna say, how many members on the board think a boy who has physical and academic challenges find it okay for issues in communication and constantly fall through the cracks? I'm asking that question. When you start school, everything should be in a Chromebook. This is the third year in a row for my son, who is in a special needs son, has not had it. And each year I had to ask. In 7th grade, it's completely missed. In 8th grade, I asked in October, he got it in December. Now we're almost 5 weeks into school, and he still doesn't have it. And yes, it's being rectified because I asked the question yesterday, but it is not okay that it has to come from a parent when it's mandated on his IEP. After a lot of back and forth with the PPS person in the high school, I received an email from Dr. Gallagher, who proceeded to reprimand me in her email about how I spoke to.
I apologize, we're just trying our best to, this is maybe that can be taken offline, we appreciate it, but if you can.
I've tried to take it offline, and I am I'm trying to be an active, caring participant in my child's education, and quite frankly, you're all making it difficult at every turn. And I am honestly asking, who in the board thinks it's appropriate for a child who starts school not to have what he needs? Now let's take a poll. Dr. Ryan, do you think it's appropriate?
So that's, no, with all due respect, that's not how, the.
So when can we have a public conversation on it? Because it's not changing. I mean, we've had numerous emails. I've sent 100 emails about things, and it just, everyone's, I'm sorry. And I don't even get it, I'm sorry. I get, oh, it's this person's fault. I get passed through, everyone passes the buck, and it has to stop. It's not okay. And if you as a board don't stand up for people like me, you're not doing your job. And as a taxpayer, we are paying the administration to do a better job when our kids come to school and work hard. Here's a kid who works hard, he does his work, he's participating and trying to, he would love to play sports. He can't, so he's the manager. And you don't give him what he needs in an academic setting? How am I supposed to feel that you think it's appropriate? What would you do if it was your kid? Right? How would you feel if it was your child who wasn't getting what they needed at every time? And we either have had really bad luck or we have a bad system of how we take care of things in the special ed department. And it has to change. It really does. And you can sit there and we can say we can take it offline. I tried to take it offline, and I was recommended by an administrator who only had one side of the story. That's not okay either. Did you care to ask my side of the story? And I know this said person was upset, but so was I. And to be reprimanded about what she claims is an honest mistake is not an honest mistake. It was just missed. And it's been missed 3 years in a row. And enough is enough. Figure it out.
Thank you so much.
I would appreciate a comment or a response publicly, or you'll find me here every week.
Thank you so much for your comments. Anyone else with questions or comments from the public? All right, moving on.
Wait, we got one more person.
Sure, and sorry, just making there is no cheering, clapping in general, positive or negative, so I appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you. Understood, go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Lorenzo Wallace. I'm the father of Lorenzo Wallace, who is struggling. Brandon is a great kid. She's a great student. Several teachers come to me and tell me that kids like Lorenzo are the reason why they teach. All right? And she's honorable. She's doing great. She can do so much better if she don't have to worry about dying or if somebody's gonna do something to her, because it's a death threat. When a kid comes to her and says, I'm gonna put peanut butter on you, or you're not allergic, I'm gonna test this and do that, that's a death threat. That's just like somebody bringing a gun into the school. A peanut is a gun to her. She's gonna die if she ingests peanut, or somebody puts that on her. She's gonna die and nobody catches it. And the staff aren't catching things fast enough. There's no reason why, when she got dropped off yesterday, no staff was notified. She was just sitting there with an aide outside crying. I had to come here, me and my wife, and I had to call 911. That's not protocol. That's not right. It's not right. It's not fair. She shouldn't have to fear for her life to get an education. And she's a great student. Protect the great student. Do something about it. Ms. Gallagher, we've talked about it several times. We have meetings with you. What is going to be done? What's going to be different? I remember when we first had a meeting, you said that the school was peanut free. In the meeting, it's not peanut free. It's not a peanut free school here. And she said it's not going to make it peanut free. So what's going to happen? Something has to happen. Something has to be done. Her life is in jeopardy in this school. It's in jeopardy.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Questions or comments from the public on any item?
Danielle, Ferraro, 460 Hudson Street, I forgot my last name there for a minute.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity on that note, why would we not become a peanut-free district?
So we have put a number of precautions in place, and I'm going to try to discuss this as generally as I can and not get into specifics. We have put a number of precautions in place in terms of no eating in hallways, peanut-free rooms, peanut-free cafeteria. What we cannot, and we send home notes. The middle school is on top of this regularly, sending home notes. Parents should not be sending peanut products in their kids. What we can't do is enforce that with 600 students. So you can't possibly inspect the lunch of 600 students or the peanut butter and jelly snack that a kid is going to eat at a track meet. It's not possible for us to make that guarantee. And if you look at most schools, including New York City, what they're saying is peanut aware, because we don't want to guarantee peanut free because we can't. We cannot enforce that. I can't suspend the kid who got a peanut butter sandwich on the bus yesterday. That's the difference. We are trying to put all of these precautions in place. If there's bullying that happens as a result of this, the middle school staff is on it, but we cannot make an assertion that we can't back up. So in the elementary school, it's a little different. Students are not in control of their lunches. The parents are. As students get older, I don't know of any high school or middle school that's peanut free. It's peanut aware, it's allergy aware, it's raising that awareness. We certainly want to keep all of our students safe. Lynette is a wonderful student. We certainly want that. We all want the same thing, but we can't do what we're being asked to do legally.
Can you send them to a different district?
We can talk about your individual case another time, but Mr. R asked me about the district policies.
Great, thank you. That's it. Okay, anyone else? Moving on, announcements, Long Beach Class with Teachers. All good? Great, thank you. Administrative Supervisory at PTS? No. Long Beach Group C, SCA. PTSA?
Just every day, every day.
I'll be quick. We're going into fundraising season. I know the high school has homecoming come up, so I'm hoping that we'll be able to support those kids. But all of our PTA, we're going to start fundraising for our new kids. We don't just have the color one. East has Beast-a-thon coming on, Liddell West has coming. I know the middle school is planning a parents' night out, and high school is going to be starting their morning madness. I know that people in the community are getting inundated, but all these amazing fun activities that your kids are enjoying are funded by your PTAs. Please try and come on and support us. Thank you.
We very much appreciate you guys and gals in the PTA. Thank you so much. With that being said, make a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Group D? I thought you waited. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night. Stay home.